start off really with your season. It's been a good one.
Yes, very good. We always get reasonable amounts of rain in here anyway, so that's not the end of the world. Cattle were absolutely brilliant. I've never ever seen prices like we've got this year for cattle. The bull beef just went incredibly well for us. And the vineyard industry, yeah, it's ticked along pretty well. Marlborough, we're about 90% of our 10-year average, which, okay, is probably on the lighter side for what our market demands are. But relative to what most people got in Marlborough, we can only say we're very happy. Good quality fruit, in fact probably very much 2013 type vintage, so nice passion fruit flavours to the Sauvignon Blanc, which we're really happy with. It's one that was very successful for us. Down here, probably the best crop of Pinot we've ever had, and certainly the best quality. High 23s of sugar level into the 24s, really ripe, very small berries, and just a lot of raisining. Great fruit, it was cool.
There's been a suggestion that the wine levels are going to be lower this year?
Oh, definitely so. 2013 we were short, 2014 we had the biggest harvest ever in New Zealand, 2015 back to less than, or certainly towards the 2013 vintage, certainly less than average. So yes, there was a lot of carryover from 14, which will disappear now because the market demand really is more than we would have got in 15 on its own. So the price immediately lifted. I was a little unsure why the price for the 14 didn't lift before harvest, because there certainly was every indication there was not going to be enough fruit around at 15. People were a little slow reacting to it. Instead of running sort of, well, let's run 14 just a little bit longer. They sort of hadn't been buying 14 all season, and it was very low prices. Then all of a sudden it slipped probably $1.50 a litre, and we're up to sort of $3, nearly $4 a litre for the 14, and 15 is very strong, $4 now, just because there's so little of it about.
What about the effect of the world affairs with Putin and all that sort of thing going on?
The world's love of Sauvignon Blanc hasn't stopped, and America's love of Sauvignon Blanc is growing. And it's a huge market in the United States. It's certainly looking to be our strongest market worldwide. The UK is always going to be dominated by the five big supermarket giants, and they set the price. So they sort of 80% of the wine is sold to them, and 90% of the wine sold in supermarkets are sold on special. So it really is a chase down to the bottom on that. We're less impressed with the UK market year by year, and spending far more of our time and effort and energy into the United States. 400 million people, growing economy again, certainly long way past their downturn of the 2008, 2009, that's long behind most people over there. And we were seeing it definitely in the restaurants. The cheap end of the market is being replaced by the family restaurant. Those have gone up probably $5 a head spending in terms of the style of restaurants they're going to now. And more of those are going to tap pour type wines, limited bottle sales, but everything's on tap. 8, 10, 12 wines on tap on the big chains, and that really is driving the market along, and a lot of it's really by glass pour.
How do you get wine on tap?
Oh, in New Zealand it's done with exchange kegs, very much like beer. You exchange a 20-litre keg, and that gets filled, comes up and is pressurised by nitrogen to push it through the tapping system, or on a bar, like very much like your beer is. In the United States, they've developed a slightly more sophisticated form, which is a plastic bag, like very much a BIB, a bag-and-box type plastic bag, 9 litres in volume, and that goes into a keg and is pressed by a diaphragm of rubber, and they just use compressed air to push against the other side of the rubber, and that forces the wine out as it's required. So there's no other gas gets used to expel the wine out of the system, and therefore the wine is poured by tap. And it's probably growing to the stage where a lot of people are liking a lot of different wines, and so you can go to a table with 6, 8, 10 people at a party and everyone have a different wine. Whereas before there was the argument of what bottle of wine do we want to have, and then we'll share it. Now everyone buys wine by the glass, and it's just cool. And so they can pour a glass and know that the next 20 odd glasses will taste just the same, because the wine is being expelled without any contact to air.
Do you think we're going to get that sort of thing starting to creep in here in New Zealand?
There's a little bit of keg wine in New Zealand. A lot of the bars will run a keg of Sauvignon Blanc and probably a keg of a red. It is cheaper than the bottle product for for the hospitality industry that's serving it, and probably a better product because of the fact there's no air exposure after you've taken a glass out, 2 glasses, 3 glasses, 4 glasses, that sort of style. So there's certainly a savings to the hospitality, the bar owner, to run that. But you do need an establishment that turns over a lot of wine. So bars, bistros work very, very well. Fine dining restaurants, it's not quite the scene.
And I guess you're just living with the dollar at the moment.
Yeah, I don't buy forward, never have. We try and look at what the world scene is. We've done very well in the last 12 months of chasing it down. A little bit of a blip upwards at the moment because the Fed can't make up its mind whether it wants to increase the interest rates or not. And I think the jury's definitely out on that, whether they'll make an announcement in the foreseeable future, and how that announcement will be, whether it'll be sort of dovish that, oh no, we're not going to be raising interest rates for a wee while yet, or a little bit more bullish that we think we're within sort of 1 or 2 cycles of raising it. I think of more concern is the lack of taking seriously the high New Zealand dollar relative to its GDP spend, etc., etc., etc. I think we are overvalued, and our interest rate is just too high, and the gap between us and the US OCR rate is gaining all the time.
So we are looking a bit closer to Australia now.
In parity, yes, but the interest rate is ridiculous. Well, what's Australia's OCR? 2.25, and we are 3.75. 3.5. So there's a gap between, and so consequently money that can be purchased around the world, borrowed around the world for 0.5%, finds its way quickly to New Zealand because they can get 3.5%. Just as simple as that. And that's, the dollar's driven not by trade, but just purely overseas speculation on interest rates.